Yes. Welcome to the Knowledge Drop by folks at the Flow Mode crew, BeBoyDojo.com and Cypher Studio. All right. I've been rocking the Knowledge Drop videos for the past 4 years almost. And last week I started to do the math, like, all right, we've been spreading it to different platforms and all of this. And I did the math and put it all together, and I realized, like, all right, it's over 1 million views. So first of all, thank you everybody for tuning into the Knowledge Drop during the last couple of years. Hopefully I've been able to inspire you guys with some of my experience and insights. And we keep moving. 1 million mark is a big mark to do. So I guess today is a great day to step it up a step further in a way that we'll be doing more live knowledge drops in the future. We're going to get going today. I'm going to start off with our first guest, SKEME Richards, all the way from Philly. And a good friend of mine. We share a long history together, rocking jams, ciphers, and parties all around the world. So without further ado, let's get SKEME on board. Let's see.
Yo.
What's good? Coming live from Philadelphia. What's going on? SKEME the house. What's up, mister? How's Philly? Good morning, always.
Philly's good. It's good, man. It's sunny, a little cold, but, it's good.
Not cold like Finland cold yet, right?
No, never Finland cold. Except for a couple of years ago, it was like cold. I remember you telling me like it was a lot colder on the East Coast, like Philly and New York, than it was in Finland that one year. So, but no.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Did you ever get to experience the Finland winter yet? You always came in the summertime.
Always summer. I do want to experience the wintertime though. I think one
That's a different experience.
I know. One year I was out there, it was a little colder than it had been. I remember we were having finished barbecue up at the house and like the fire pit going on. So it was definitely cold, but it wasn't like winter cold.
All right. Maybe that will be a Flow anniversary experience one day. Just make it in December or January or something. Do it in the north of Finland and ride ski-doos all the way up there, up the hill.
Right?
And
Yeah.
we have it on the top of a hill somewhere. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Have some reindeer for the after party and whatever.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, good. Well, hey, thank you for making time, and let's kick it. We're going to start off first about with a little bit about comics. Went back at my mom's place in the Christmas time, and I saw my old collection. It's not really a collection. It's just a couple of magazines over there. But first of all, right away thought of you, like, all right, this is some SKEME Richards stuff over here. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience with comics, and why do you still keep doing it?
Yeah, well, comics was my first love of collecting. That was, of course, I had toys and stuff, but comics before the records was like, that was it. My first comic book, I remember my aunt took me to the comic shop, and the first comic I got was the Superman versus Muhammad Ali comic, right? So I was already hooked. I was hooked from there. So from there, it was like X-Men, it was Spider-Man, it was Thor, Doctor Strange, stuff like that. And that was like, that was that youthfulness. That's what kept you like going. That's what kept you happy. And then just to have comics and be able to like trade with your homies, they might have had a book that you wanted, and then fast forward, it just bumped into the record thing, and it was like, okay, comics have to take a back seat because now my lunch money is going to records, so comics was just like the initial start of the nostalgia king, being a collector.
Yes, sir. Do you still trade your comics even
No, man. Nah.
2020s or
no? At this point, man, it's all about keeping for myself because now I know values of things and like and there's things that I might have traded as a kid that like I want it back now because of a storyline or something that happened or an artist that drew the book. So for me now, it's like I keep everything. I might have doubles, so I'll sell something off, but I'm not really trading anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what? I have taken stuff to a shop and like had books that I really didn't need, and I would trade it for credit to get something that I really wanted in the shop. So those are the kind of trades I'm doing now.
Yeah. Is there still great comic books coming out these days, or is it all about vintage? That old stuff?
There's a lot of good books coming out right now. I'm kind of like not in tune to all of the new books because I don't have time to read and, you know, to really sit and read comics and follow storylines. But there's a lot of books still going on, a lot of great artists coming out these days. So yeah, it's still going on. It's just a different thing now because before we went in with a childlike mind and we would just appreciate it. Now it's more of a business for comic companies and readers and collectors. It's more like the hunt of everything and being like, oh, I have to get this because this is the rare. And I feel like that takes the fun out of the childlike mind while we got into comics in the first place.
Yeah. But still, like you say about music always, that there's still great music coming out if you dig deep enough. So maybe same for comics as well, that it's not all nostalgia. There's some great stuff and quality stuff coming still out even in 2023.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing, man. It's all about digging. There's always going to be something great. You know, people say, oh, there's no good sneakers or there's good sneakers coming out. Like, you just got to know, you got to stay away from the Jordans and you got to stay away from the cliche sneakers that everybody's getting and have your own vision on what you think is dope. You know, I think we're too caught up in, you know, people focusing on the same thing and not having your own identity on what you, because that's what we did with everything back in the day. Like, what made that outfit you were wearing dope? It was because I saw it and saw the vision on how to put the shirt together with the jeans, with the sneakers. I didn't want to look like somebody else. So, you know, it's about originality. It's about, you know, having your own vision and seeing things.
Yeah, finding your character, whether it's collecting comic books, whether it's digging records, or whether it's dancing, it's all good.
Yeah.
Same principles apply.
Exactly.
For sure. How about records then? Like, this, you're in a lucky situation in a way that you got all these promos coming in from record labels and stuff. Do you still go out digging? I know the answer to that, but still.
Yo, I still go out digging. I buy records. You know, if I had 8 arms, I'd be buying records with 8 arms. You know, like, I still go dig. I still hit all of the local shops. When I travel, I'm still hitting shops. The minute I land, it's like, let's go get a burger. Let's go get a beer. Let's go get some comics and let's go get some records. You know, I still dig wherever I go, you know, and then, yeah, I'll jump on Discogs because it might be something at a seller in Finland might have that I need, and he's the only one with it. So I got to order it there, you know, so I'm getting records from all sources, you know, and then in addition, all of the record labels sending me promos. That right there, you know, that keeps me in tune to what's going on now and being able to break new records now, you know, and one of the earliest labels to send me promo was Timian Records. Helsinki, you know, one of the earliest labels, you know, send me promo nonstop. So shout outs to Timian Records. You good?
Shout out to Timian, you better recognize. Here we go.
That's right.
That's dope. That's dope. So there's that Philly Helsinki connection right there as well.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you do with records that you don't use anymore? Do you sell, or like if there's more stuff coming in all the time, your place isn't getting any bigger? So
bro,
how do you handle that stuff?
Honestly, here and there I'll sell, but my thing is your ear changes, right? Your ear always changes. So something you don't like today or won't use today, your ear might change next year and you'd be like, oh man, that'll work in this set today. You know, I've definitely sold some records and been mad later that, like, I sold it because all of a sudden I appreciated that record or, you know, wanted to work that record in the mix. So I had to go back and buy the record, you know, so it's rare that I sell stuff. I'll sell doubles, but it's rare that I sell something because I might hear somebody play something. I'll be like, whoa. I got that record. How come it doesn't sound like that when I play that record? You know, and then I'll go back and I'll play it and I'll be like, no, this record was dope. Why was I sleeping? You know, or the B side of the record. You know, I'll be like, I never listened to the B side, and because I bought it for the A side, and now the B side is the side to play. So yeah, it's rare. I'll sell stuff here and there, but I hold on to a lot.
All right. And there's new tapes that you've been making as well. Can you tell a little bit about them? Like mixed tapes, not mix files or mix CDs, right, but actual mixed tapes still coming out. What's the latest one and how can people find it?
So the latest one, actually, I did a direct to cassette mix. And that's basically me taking 2 turntables and going directly to cassette. No computer, no nothing, right? And I do that in limited edition, and I record straight from my house, dub tapes, one by one by one by one. And so that one sold out quickly. I do usually do a limited of 50 runs of that. That sold out quick. Prior to that, I had the New Funk Explosion, or not New Funk Explosion, Deep Funk Explosion. And that was on a label in Beijing, and they wanted to do a mix of all like Deep Funk 45s. That one's still available at shopfruity.com in Beijing. And I also have some on my Nostalgia King site. So actually, you know, like I'm doing 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 tapes a year. You know, so if you check Nostalgia King from time to time, you'll always find a tape on there that I'm releasing. And, you know, it's just a way of like, I like physical product. You know, I like physical. I like to be able to sell a tape or a record or a CD to someone, you know, versus like, hey, download this. Yeah, downloads are cool. You hold it. But what if your hard drive crashes? What if, you know, streaming is cool. Like, yeah, you can go on Mixcloud and hear it all you want. But there's something about taking that item with you where you go. You know, if you're going to the practice spot, you got a boombox. Exactly. You got a practice spot, and you taking the boombox and you're dropping a tape in. It just feels different. You know,
and it's a part of, it's a whole culture of itself, that hustling products kind of thing that was always cool. In a jam in the corner, there's the booth for the t-shirts, there's a booth for the mixtapes, and all that stuff, and all that talk between the sellers and the buyers as well.
Right. And I feel like we've gotten
all the experiences that they share and where they got them from and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
yes, indeed,
we've kind of gotten away from that, you know, especially with DJs and physical product. You know, like DJs, they want to do mix like, it's not a mixtape if it's online. It's not a mixtape, you know, it's just a mix, you know. And I don't hear a lot of that stuff because, you know, you go and you're like, how did I miss this? And then you hear it, you're like, you know, I wouldn't pay $7 for this. I wouldn't pay 10, but you know, because it took nothing. It took no effort. The effort is recording it, pressing it, dubbing it, going out, meeting people, selling it. That's the process. So
yeah, that brings the soul to the product. Otherwise, it's just bits, ones and zeros, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. And even that's kind of changing. It's like, all right, DJs drop maybe one mix in a year or 1 in 2 years, and they're getting shorter too. So like, all right, there's a 20-minute mix once in 2 years, and relying on freaking Instagram fame on that case. It's like, okay, just a different game, right?
Yo, I mean, I've literally heard people do mixes, and like, this is, like you said, it's 20 minutes. How is this a mix? It's 20 minutes. 20 minutes, the average song is 3 to 4 minutes. So you put 5 songs on your mix?
And call it a mixtape.
And call it a mixtape?
Without the tape.
What? You know,
game, so, right?
Yeah, it has to be an hour, man. It has to be a minimum of an hour.
Yeah, I guess it's the attention span too. Like if you have an hour mix, I don't know about today's people, how many people listen to the whole thing. That's another story as well. People drop out, do other things on the side, whatever. I guess it's like a 7-second attention span, and it's getting shorter year after year. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, for me, I uphold the standards.
Yeah. You know, you're one of the few people doing it still.
I'm upholding standards. That. I'm never going to stop that. You know, I'm always going to lead by example and have people trying to catch up to what I do.
Yeah, and trends go in circles too. So it's always coming back and forth. And if you stick to your style and your tradition and your way of doing things, they'll get back to you.
Exactly.
That's for sure. What is your favorite gig? Where did you play? I remember a lot of great SKEME Richest moment. I can share mine first. My favorite SKEME Richest moment comes down to Big O Fight Club in New York, Rocksteady anniversary, in the basement, walking down those stairs. I think it was the, what was it
Table
called?
50.
Yeah. So you walk down those stairs and you hear 24 Karat Black all the way up, and that bass line and the drums, and you're like, all right, SKEME's here, and everybody that I always looked up to is here as well. So let's get to it. And a narrow basement club. It's like nothing high, just narrow and hot and sweaty and whatever. But like one of the illest things that I've heard you play was that. What is your favorite memories when it comes to DJing? There's a lot. But if you had to drop one or two, What would
All
it
right,
be?
so, all right, and I'm not saying this one because I'm Flomo, but the very first Top Rocks that I went to, Flomo, 2007, highlight, because that right there established what I already knew, that there was dope stuff outside of America, but doing it right. Like Flomo already had DJ Anonymous as the OG. He was the OG. He was the Flash. He was the Bambaataa. He was the Herc of Finland.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's a rarity because you can go to other countries and you don't have a B-boy crew that actually follows someone who's not a B-boy, but who's just a DJ in the scene. That's a rarity. So when I went to Top Rocks, I was like, they're doing it right. They're doing it right. So that was a highlight. You can name any Circle Kings.
For sure.
Highlight, you know? Anytime you guys are there, anytime Flomo's there, like anytime, like Circle Kings. Those are two amazing highlights, but I think the one that tops everything was Rocksteady Anniversary, where Flomo Crew came through and smacked everybody. I think that's the one, because that just gave me like energy, and it was just like, yo, these guys just came to town and just business. It was business, you know. And I think that moment, and that moment solidified you guys as like the dopest, you know. That moment solidified.
Appreciate that. Kiitos.
You know, so yeah, you know, so those are three. I mean, there was a lot of moments, but I think those three moments for me, man, because everything just connected. Music, the people, it was just all right. Everything at that time was just so perfect. And like, you know, it was just right. Everything was right.
You know, for sure. For sure. A lot of people don't maybe know, but Rocksteady Anniversary, those times, SKEME was spinning and all 45s. Serato was already there, but SKEME didn't care. It's like, all right, still spinning straight battles, all 45s. And that's also a rare sight to do. I see that happening in Japan. I was there in December, and Marski T, they were rocking straight 45s for the whole event.
Yep.
Doing competitions, battles, whatever, and flawlessly executing it. So it's still happening, but not many people can do it.
Yeah, because like a lot of DJs are scared. A lot of DJs don't have the records. A lot of DJs hide behind like production of making these new beats, or, you know, these weird pots and pan breaks and stuff like that. Like they don't really dig. They don't have that musical knowledge to say like, I'm going to carry these 245s to play this jam. You know, I used to carry a bag of 250 45s with me every jam.
For sure.
And rock it, you know. I mean, and I could still do it. I didn't do it this last Flomo Anniversary, but the one before that, I carried, because that's the one where me and what's his name from the UK?
Rob Life.
Yeah. We carried vinyl. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we're about to play Flomo Anniversary. And there's certain events that I feel like you have to play vinyl because it's just right, you know.
Yeah. It was an ill year. It was an ill year when it came to the lineup of the DJs too. We had Rob Life, Smirnoff, a bunch of others, and yourself. Yeah, and it was just quality. Everybody topping each other out. It's like, all right, cool.
That's how it's done.
Yeah. It's cool that you mentioned Anonymous as well. So everybody who's tuning in from outside of Finland probably don't know Anonymous and these guys. But if you go, they're actually doing a lot of streaming right now. So if you find out Helsinki Record Dungeon in Instagram and YouTube, they're doing like stream sets in a dungeon where they have all their records just for the sake of getting some airtime for the albums that's collecting dust over there. So they're still active after a lot of time, and their history is beautiful.
The person who put me up on Anonymous was Why Not, because he had a mix. He had a mix of Anonymous. And I remember he brought it back and he was like, yo, you need to hear this mix. And he gave me, I still have that mix. It's in the car. that mix still gets played in the car. And he was like, yo, you need to hear this dude Anonymous. And it was,
and I'm sure even my Finland people, not everybody of today's generation know about Anonymous. So go back, check out. And if SKEME is talking about him, Why Not is talking about him, there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right. So how about spinning jams during these times? You don't do too many. You just finished up the Red Bull BC1. How did you feel about spinning over there? It's a little bit of a different experience. How was it for you?
So honestly, I feel like technically this was a very well thought out BC1 DJ wise for me. Like it was the hard part was getting music together. That was the hard part, because you got to sift through so much music and you're like, oh, this is garbage, this doesn't work. Ah, this is cool. You know, that was the hard part, was the music. But the vibe and the energy, and I think it being in New York made it so perfect. You know, it was, I mean, you had Rakim perform it. Like, you know, it was just, it was right, you know, and everybody, it was a who's who of who's who there that day. You know, so I feel like that made it so perfect. If that would have been in any other city, it wouldn't have been the same feeling.
Yeah,
you know?
that connection of production high level, and then a lineup of Rakim and
right,
and Jabberwockies and SKEME and everybody. So
exactly.
that connection, being in New York, that's a good mix.
Exactly. So it just worked. And, you know, I feel like music is always a hard part with streaming. It's always a hard part, but it's up to my job and the DJ's job to make sure they pick the best out of the worst, you know, musically. And sometimes I got to take somebody's music and I got to chop it apart and just take the break and work the break, because the rest of the song isn't all that good, but I'll chop it up. So I got a lot of calls from people and a lot of messages being like, yo, you made the music work. You made the music work for this event. It fit perfectly. Like you. So, you know, that makes me feel good. And it makes me know like, okay, I'm still on it. I still know my job, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's hard doing events these days. Like I pick and choose what I'm going to do now, because the scene's so oversaturated at this point with DJs, and just like the quality level's gone down, you know? So for me, it's like I pick and choose. I'll do my Red Bulls, you know, I've been doing Breaking for Golds, you know, the Olympic series, you know, because those guys, they call me and they trust me, you know. And then I'll do like Squid's jam, you know, Squid does his jam out in LA called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. Like I'll do his because it's a jam. It's like a 4-hour jam, and it's all of the dopest cats, and the battles are already determined who's battling. So there's no like, you know, it's just like straight up, these are the people that's battling. And it's always high quality. So, you know, I pick and choose what I'm going to do now.
Yeah, you have to do it. It's a jam every weekend, bunch of jams every single weekend. So you can get oversaturated, you can get stressed out, burnt out if you want to. So you got to be smart about it. Pick the ones that are best to feed your passion and feed your fire.
Exactly.
You'll be
and that's what's keeping me going.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping me going, is not burning myself out, not being someplace every weekend for the sake of being someplace every weekend. So.
Absolutely. What do you think about breakers who dig? I see this more and more. There's breakers going digging more and more and turning into DJing and go deeper into music. What do you think about this? And also, what can they do in order to become better at it?
I started seeing it, but then I started realizing a lot of breakers are doing it and they're coming from a breaker's perspective and mentality, and not a good music lover mentality, right? So a lot of stuff you were hearing from breakers would be like the pots and pans stuff. And it's just like, just because it has a break in it doesn't mean it's good. It's still got to be a good break, you know? And it was just pots and pans. And I think a lot of people got caught up in, oh, it's got a break, but the break's not good. The break's not funky. You know, everything has a break. It's just, is it good? So you started running into that. So when I see certain people, like I've seen you buy records, like I called you a DJ before you even called yourself a DJ.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Like you were DJing. When I first met you, you had turntables, you were DJing, but you never called yourself a DJ. But I saw your passion for the music. I saw what you were buying, what you were playing. And it was like, okay, this guy has his own identity. He's playing what he should be playing, you know? So you see some DJs some breakers that are buying records, and it's like, oh, okay, that's dope. You know, but then you see some people that are going left field. And it's like, no, like you know.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, it's a weird scenario right now, but I feel like it's starting to slow down with breakers buying records or trying to be DJs because they've got Serato. So they don't even care about the aspect of DJing and the aspect of digging. It's the aspect of, oh, I'm going to do this jam, right? It's not about DJing. It's about, I'm going to do this jam. So it's a weird state.
Yeah, that's when it comes to being like an ego thing. It's like, I'm going to get the shine for being behind the turntables.
Right.
Even though I don't know my craft.
Right. And that's what it is, you know, and we found that happening once the economy started getting funny and promoters started seeing, I could book this guy over here to play almost the same music as this guy for cheaper, you know, and that's when the scene started going downhill because everybody local started getting booked to play the good jams and nobody was being flown around. And it was like, okay, well, there's the quality. This guy's going to play my whole set, you know, for cheap. Okay.
Even with the mix tape shout outs included.
Exactly.
Same songs.
That's happened a lot of times.
Shout outs for the same price. That's what's up. So what do you think? How can breakers improve their musicality? How can they go deeper in music without necessarily having to stand behind a deck of turntables? How can they understand music in a better way so they can dance better?
So to understand the music, you have to understand the people who made the music, right? You have to understand the time period. The best music for B-boys and B-girls was made in 60s and 70s, right? And a lot of that music came out of the struggle. A lot of that music came out of, you know, social problems, political problems, you know, just the struggle. You know, it came out of like Black people being oppressed in America. And how did they combat that? They made great music and talked about the struggle. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing to understand the music, you got to understand the people and the struggle of the people that made that music. That's first and foremost. And once you feel that and you feel the energy, like when James Brown says, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. It wasn't just like, oh, this sounds cool. This is a great line. No, he was, you know, being social with it. He was being like political, like this is what it is. So you have to understand the people to understand the music, right? And then once you understand the music and you get the whole concept of the people and what they stood for, you hear the music differently. And then you start hearing the drums and you start hearing the horns and you start hearing all these instrumentations because you understand the people who made the music. It sounds complex, but if you sit down, if we sit down in a room together and I show you video footage of 1970 in a basement disco or something, you have to stop and be like, oh, I get it now. I see what I hear, you know, and that's how you become better because there's a blueprint. And I feel like we don't have blueprints right now. In the breaking scene, the blueprint is last week's battle, you know, that's the blueprint, you know. But if you go back and you look and you say, you know what, if you go look at Doze in 1980 and you like, that's the blueprint, you know, and then you look at Soul Train and you're like, that's the blueprint. It's a whole lineage and history that you got. You can't just start yesterday and be like, that's the blueprint. You got to go back further, you know.
Yes,
So
indeed.
like,
it goes beyond
to bring it back to
the ultimate
books.
breaks and beats.
Exactly. To bring it back to comic books, you can't start a comic book today and then go forward. You got to go back to issue number 1 to say, how did this guy get his powers? And then you go to issue 2 and issue 3. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are starting at last week's jam. And not what happened in 1992, what happened in 84, what happened in 74. You know, that's the lineage.
Yeah, so, that's when there's a purpose. That's when everything clicks and starts to make sense.
Exactly.
It's not just the last week's episode of magazine.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yes, indeed. Let me see if there's any questions in the live. We're live on YouTube over here. Going to be on Spotify and all of that stuff. And last but not least, let's touch on fashion slightly. So breaking fashion big competitions, more and more eyes watching what we do right now. How do you think the fashion is doing?
Man, people are sloppy. It's no way around it. People are sloppy.
Yeah.
Like there was a time, freshness has, once again, lineage, the blueprint. There's a way to look fresh. This isn't about being comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's about being fresh, which should be comfortable at the same time. But a lot of people are just throwing on whatever and going out. Like, that's why I always love Flomo, because Flomo is like, yo, our sneakers are fresh. We got on fresh jeans, sweatshirt, t-shirt, whatever. Crew shirt, always had a crew shirt on. And that represented, you know? But now I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, I got some fresh sneakers and that's all I need. And I'm gonna wear this oversized, like, windbreaker, and it's oversized. And it's like, the baggier your clothes, the worse your footwork looks. Because if your sweatpants are baggy, people can't see your footwork properly. They can't see the motion, right? And then people get caught up in the big clothes, and it's just like, yo, it looks sloppy, you know? So you can't really do that. Like, so I feel like people got to slim it down a little bit. I'm not saying wear it tight, but slim it down and match. Don't have two different things on. Like, if you're gonna wear gray sweatpants, rock a gray shirt or gray, you know, sweat top or something. Don't wear green and then gray and then blue sneakers. Like, it's just, you know, there's no thought going out. And the crazy thing is, in the 70s, in the 80s, even the 90s, we had less money than people have now, right? 70s, everyone was broke, right? 14 years old, breaking and getting into hip hop. You didn't have money, but you made what you had fresh. Now we've all got money. We've got internet. We've got $1,000 cell phones. There's money. Put some thought into your fashion, especially because you're on a big stage being seen by people around the world. So a sponsor might be like, this person looks great breaking. I like their energy. But your clothes takes away from that. You know, represent something. I don't care if you got to go get your own crew shirt made or something. Represent something and represent looking fresh. So yeah, it's sloppy right now.
100. And I love to sacrifice functionality for freshness.
Right.
I think that's the opposite right now. Everybody's looking for functionality,
right?
Great pants to move around with, and like something that stretches, so it's good to do your flares, but whatever the way it looks, doesn't care or doesn't matter at all. So I love to go the opposite. Like, I love these sneakers because they're a little bit too heavy, too bulky.
Right.
So they kind of slow me down, but they gave me a power and impact in the way that I step.
And I mean, people need to realize, like, yo, you can be comfortable and be fresh at the same time. It's just understanding. Like, I think people are taking this, like, the 90s era was the baggy area, Columbia outfits, like, but that was people that was being on the streets. That was people that was hanging out. You know, you can't wear a giant Columbia outfit to break in, because you're not in New York in the 90s. Like, it was no competition. You was just looking fresh. But like, being on stage in a competition is different. And we didn't wear stuff that baggy. You know, people are just like going overboard when it's like, I get it. You want to look like a 90s B-boy. You're not doing a good job at it, because we didn't wear it that baggy, and we wasn't going to jams like that. Like, it was like, yo, this is what you're rocking in the street. You're rocking that with, like, you know, Timberlands, and like, you're not breaking in Timbs. Like, if you're going to wear the outfit, wear the whole outfit, the Timbs, the Columbia, like the whole outfit, you know? So it's just thought, you know? And once again, that lineage, the blueprint, you know, it was a vibe in the 90s. It was something going on. It was grimy. It's not grimy now. So you trying to look like a 90s, like, it's not the same. So yeah, just look fresh. You know, stand in a mirror every once in a while and be like, this doesn't look all that good.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Cool. 2023, where can we catch Skim Richards?
2023, let's see. I'm going to Oakland, which I haven't been to Oakland in a long time. And Oakland's such a dope city, man. The scene, the B-boys, the whole Bay Area, you know, it's just so dope out there, and like real good vibes out there. Matter of fact, one of the first times I met Flomo, Mighty Four.
Mighty Four. That has to be the first time, I think. Yeah.
That was the first time. And it's crazy because I have pictures of you guys when everybody was like skinny, young. I was like, yo, like everybody had crew shirts on. It was you, Rome, had Solo. Was it just the three?
Yeah, that's it. Just the three of us. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I got like old photos, man, of you guys, man, old crew shirts that you probably don't even have anymore.
Probably all worn out.
Worn out.
Yeah.
So so there I'm back to Japan, hopefully in March for a month. Korea. Okay. Where else? Yeah, I this year it's about rocking the world again, you know.
Yeah.
Because last year was like I did a little bit, but this year it's like, yo, it's back on again. You know, that hunger is still there. And like being off in the last 2 years of not being able to travel, I'm like, oh, it's about to be on. It's about to be on.
It's time. Let's make it happen.
So,
all right, cool. Anybody tuning in, where can they get those tapes and all the information about what's going on? Where can they find the tour schedules? Drop some links.
Yes. nostalgiaking.com. That's the place for everything Scheme Riches, nostalgiaking.com. Everything's blasted out there. And then even on my Instagram at Scheme Richards, I put everything up there first to let you know what's dropping, when it's dropping, you know. So, and then you just hit the Nostalgia King link, bang, bang, get the goods. You know, I got Nostalgia King t-shirts. I sell comics on there. I sell records on there. I sell, you know, old Kung Fu and Blaxploitation movie posters. It's just the catch-all for Scheme Riches and everything Scheme Riches is about. And also I review new records and 45s for all you B-boys and B-girls that's becoming DJs. That's the source to find out what's dope to buy to add to your collection to help you become a better DJ and a better dancer.
Perfect. The place to be. Thanks a lot for your time, Scheme, and I catch you on travels, whether it's Japan, Korea, Helsinki, or Philly, and all the blessings and best things for 2023.
No doubt. Same to you, Focus, man. Love you, brother.
Yes, sir. You too. Peace. Pow, pow. And everybody else tuning in, head out to bbodojo.com. We're now in the 14-day challenge to get back in shape. 2023. Let's get it. All right. Thank you for tuning in to